Okay.
We can start.
Okay. Okay, so
Sister, I have one question. Sister, Jacob or Joseph, I got confused. Who was called Israel, sister? The other name?
Jacob. Jacob is named as Israel. Did you get? Hello?
I think he was.
Is my...
Yeah, you're clear, sister.
Okay.
Not sure who asked the question. Yeah, I think it is clear, sister. You can go ahead.
No, I asked the question, but I think I was unclear. I couldn't hear sister. Can sister please repeat? Sorry.
No, see, Abraham's son is Isaac. Isaac's son is Jacob. It is Jacob who is named as Israel.
Okay. Thank you, sister.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to the link of yesterday and today. So yesterday, what I was explaining to you is this map. So you know we have this map as a constant map, which is Palestine here, and then Sea of Galilee, Jordan, and Dead Sea. And then I was explaining to you yesterday from the perspective of the Old Testament, especially on the book of Genesis. So the patriarchs are originally from Mesopotamia. So I spoke about two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. So you can see here, northern part is Assyria and the southern part is Babylon. So you'll see Babylon here. And Ur, the place of Abraham. Okay, so there is from Babylon, a small place called Ur. And I said that they are nomads and they move from place to place, and especially because they have cattle. So they wanted to come to Canaan this way, but they take this route, okay, because it's all desert. You can see here, Arabian desert, it is written here. And so they travel through this way and they come to Haran, and it is a place of comfort for Abraham, but God asks him to leave this comfort zone and then go to the land that I will show you. And that is how they come to the land of, the Canaan. Okay, then I said it is not given to them as such to his generation, but that will take place only during the time of Joshua. And I explained to you about the book of Genesis, which has two divisions, 1 to 11. Okay, it is called as prehistory. And the second part is called as circumstantial history or the patriarchal history. So basically in Genesis, the first part is to know who we are, how we came into this world. Okay, so who is our creator, those things are dealt with. And what is called wrong and what is called right, and why we cannot equate ourselves with God. All these things are told in the first 11 chapters. In the second part of the Genesis is the history of the patriarchs. So you have beginning with Abraham and Sarah. Okay, each time, Abraham, Sarah is mentioned, she is always called as a barren woman. And after that, of course, they get this child, and there is Isaac is born, and later from Isaac gets married, and then he gets two children. First one is Esau, and second one is Jacob, and Jacob becomes the most prominent one among the two. So maybe what I didn't tell, I will just connect it from there and say, so then the whole book of Genesis, that means 12 to 50, beginning with the call of Abraham to the 50th chapter, it is the story of the patriarchs. And finally, the last few chapters are dedicated to Joseph, though he is not very prominent in the 12 tribes as such, but he becomes important because he becomes the link to the fact that the Israelites were in Egypt. So you can see Egypt is here, and you know the cities that they were building, Ramses and Pithom, and so it's here. So now they are here. Okay. So you can see this, they travel, okay, from Ur. So they are traveling to Haran, from Haran to Canaan, and from Canaan they go as a slaves to Egypt. So this is the diagram here. I'll have to start again because each time I have to look for this. Okay. So one more thing which maybe I did not tell yesterday means, you know, some things for which we have no answer. Sometimes it is just the plan of God. Not sometimes, it is always the plan of God, but we don't accept, or we don't really realize that it is the plan of God. Just like yesterday I said, God promised 3 things to Abraham, but all that was not fulfilled in Abraham's time itself. So only that great nation, that means the birth of a son, takes place. But when you see something else, okay, another point what you notice in the patriarchal history is, you know, the concept of inheritance. So it is always to the firstborn. Okay, the firstborn will have the more privileged part from the father's inheritance. So he will be the one, the chosen one. Okay, like if you have to put it in the first terms, it will be like he is the chosen one because he will be the immediate inheritor of a father's inheritance. But although it is a norm among the those people, but when you look at the book of Genesis, you will find totally different thing. Now, if it has to go by the firstborn, preference to the firstborn, then you have Abraham, and his son is actual firstborn is not Isaac. Okay, you have Ishmael. He is the firstborn in reality, and the secondborn only you have Isaac. But you see that when you look at this, okay, by God's plan, what happens? So we are not counting whether the mother is important. Mother is unimportant here, because here, of course, for Ishmael, Hagar is the mother. But what is more important is the seed of Abraham. So if you count by seed of Abraham, it is Ishmael is supposed to be the elected one. Okay, and what happens? Ishmael is eliminated, and what you find, the second born who is supposed to be eliminated is elected. And similarly, now Isaac. Now, since Isaac is elected, if you take Isaac, you have Isaac also has 2 sons. Yeah. So firstborn is Esau, and the second one is Jacob. So if you go by the rule again, Esau is supposed to be the elected one, but what do you find here? It is not Esau who is elected, he is eliminated. Okay, and who is supposed to be elected or eliminated is elected.
Now, if eliminated, you mean he's put aside, right? Yeah,
means that's what means, you know, they are the direct or the privileged ones to inherit, or they will be the what is that descendant, you know, by calling that they will in the descendancy, their name will appear first. Okay, it should be that way, because when you say that Abraham, that immediate first son should be the named one in that family, the firstborn will have that privilege. But no, historically, when we remember, we only remember Abraham and his son Isaac, Isaac's son Jacob. It comes like that, though they are not the firstborn. Now, when you take Jacob, you have 12. We can't name everybody here. So firstborn is Reuben. Okay, and he is supposed to be the elected one, but instead of him, who is elected? Any idea?
Judah.
Yeah. So you have Judah being elected, not even Joseph. Some people immediately say Joseph. No, only I told you Joseph's story is long, that's all, but actually importance is not there. So you have here Judah is elected and this one is not. Reuben is not elected. Okay, so eliminated in the sense I'm just using the word, more or less it looks like rhyming. So this is, when you look at this, we can argue from the human point of view, saying that, it should be this way. The first one, that is the custom and that is the rule. But when you look at the plan of God, that you don't find that. So most of the time that when we come up with our own arguments, it has to be like this only, it has to be this way only, and I am right, I did this one, this is the way. Many times I think we have to give up such arguments, because even in our so-called elimination, God has a plan.
Yes.
That's one thing yesterday I wanted to tell, maybe I forgot. So coming back to the continuation of the classes, I said the Genesis ends with the death of Joseph, and the people of Israel are already in Israel. That means all the 12 tribes, the family of Jacob, are in Egypt. Now, when you look at the book of Exodus, I said, is supposed to be the most important book for the people of Israel. And it is from there they actually remember or recall how God came into their lives. So whatever they recall, that God is good to us, or God was this to us, God was God of our ancestors did to us this. So they only record from the time of the Exodus events. Okay, that means what happened to them when they were in Egypt and when they came out of Egypt. And more than that, not only what God did, for that is important, but the center point of the Israelite history lies in the book of Exodus, and that too in the Sinai covenant. So that is the soul of their history. So the whole book of the Bible, that means whole book of the Old Testament, relies on this concept of the Sinai covenant. So if you understand the Sinai covenant, which is the soul of the people of Israel, then you will understand why they are punished and why they get into problems and why they were going as, if they were not remaining faithful to this covenant, only then they were getting into trouble. Whenever they remained faithful to this covenant, they were always protected and guided, they were taken care of. So this is what you will find from the book of Exodus until what you so-called the prophets. So everybody will intervene from the perspective of the Sinai covenant. So that's why I said this book of Exodus is very, very important for the people of Israel, or for us also to understand this story of the Israelites. It is very essential to know the background to this book of Exodus.
So when you say Sinai covenant, it is the covenant which God makes. If you honor me and obey my will, then you will be blessed, or else you will not, suffer the.
That's a selection now, that the choosing of this nation, as you are my people and I will be your God. And you shall not have any other gods.
Okay,
so,
the commandments and the promise.
Like commandments will be a help to keep this, what is this Sinai covenant,
Okay.
So when you have this, I am your God and you are my people, then all these commandments will help to keep up that covenant. Okay. So you have the book of Exodus. So it is actually, coming out. Okay. Out on the way, X others is way and X is out. So this is once again a Greek word that is used here. So different way you will be told, out of the way or on the way, coming out. Okay, so that will be
why, ma? Slowly down. Dark, ma, very damn listening to Jesus. Wait, ma, slowly. Ma, wait.
So one child has come to listen to my class, I think.
Let all the children come with it.
Okay. So in this, in the beginning itself, if you look at the book of Genesis, there itself, you will, beginning chapters, you will see they are addressed as Hebrews. Okay, although in the book of Genesis itself, they were called as Israel, means Jacob was named as Israel and they were referred to as Israelites. Now, every now and then, so I said, it is like mingling. Okay, once they are called either way, like stylistic purpose you use, different names like that. Sometimes they are referred to as Hebrews and sometimes they are called as Israelites. And the situation here when the opening of the book is they're suffering. Okay, they are experiencing the pain as slaves in Egypt. And they cry to God and the call of Moses comes. Okay, because you all know the story, I'm not dealing with this, I'm not explaining Moses, it's Exodus, the story. I just want to take you through the line of the Old Testament. So the leader of this is, of course, you all know the person called Moses. So in between, maybe if I have to, normally I don't do what is that, spiritualizing the explanations, but I will do it sometimes. Moses, as far as something, if we have to take home some message, Moses, for 40 years, he was in the palace. Okay, that means he was brought up in the palace with by Pharaoh's daughter with the best of the educations. Okay, palace naturally, with all kinds of art and everything was given to him. But his heart is basically is in Hebrew. So when he sees his people suffering, that means he thought, that's why, there is, I don't know in which context and all it is used, but I'll just use it for the good purpose. We say that men at 40 become naughty, like that, I hear that word. So I use it for this. When Moses turned 40, it's full of that enthusiasm, blood, and feel like that you are a leader. You want you develop a kind of management skills or leadership skills. And when he saw his people suffering, he thought he can rescue them. And that is why he goes to take action on the people. Okay, that means on the Egyptians. And that same thing, it reverses back to him. That means it rubs on the wrong way when people question him. His own people will question him. And that means it was not the plan of God. So God did not plan him to become the savior of the people of Hebrews at that age. And therefore, he had to flee. Okay, he had to flee from Egypt itself. So he goes Midian, and he goes there, and there he finds his settlement, and he settles there. And there again he spends there in that with Jethro, and he gets married to Zipporah, and he has his own children, and he spends again 40 years there. So now if you calculate, so more or less 80 years. Now he is 80-year-old. And that time the call of God comes. It is very strange to believe this. And when he was young and energetic, and when he had all this developed this skills for fighting for my people, that kind of blood was in his body. And then God said no. But when he thought, okay, now I am settled, my children are going, now it is me and my family. I have no concerns to think of others. Okay, when he was in that mode, and that is the time God is calling him and asking him to lead his people. So this is, you cannot explain the plan of God. And that's why I think in our own lives, we have to look at our life incidents, how God has worked in our own lives. So this is it. Okay, God calls Moses, and normally whenever there is all the calls are like that. If you already had few classes on prophets, I don't know what are the classes you really had. So I'm just without, like I said, tabla rasa, I'm sitting before you without knowing what are the classes.
Much on the prophet system, not so much in depth.
Okay. So, all the call of every prophet has got, when the call is given, there is hesitance. Call is there, then there is response. So if you look at the call narratives, so everybody, like there is a call, then there is response. That means speak Lord, or here I am Lord, like that. Then mission is given, and then they say no. Okay, so that means they say no to it. Okay, that means no, we will not take up. I'm not getting the word about
Rejection or refusal.
refusal. Okay, so there is a refusal, and then God gives the assurance, I will be with you, I will speak for you, something like that. And then there is a acceptance. Okay, so then they go on. Once they accept, then they go on a mission. So this is what you will find even in the case of Moses. Moses is called in the burning bush, and then he responds. But then when the mission is given, then there is a refusal. Not simply refusal always with the excuse. Okay, I'm not able, I can't speak, and I'm only young, and I don't know, how can I speak?
Jeremiah also comes to my mind.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, okay. Even Isaiah also like that. Isaiah, Jeremiah, all of them say like that, oh, how can I do? I will not be able to. Okay, like that. So this is the call narrative, so same style you will find, maybe because from the literary point of view, they follow the same pattern. But for us, we are looking at this stage, we are only looking at from the faith perspective. So this is Moses. Now, when he brought people out of Egypt, there are certain things which will be regarded by the Israelites throughout their life. Although the people themselves, they're not part of this Exodus journey, means later Israelites. And for that matter, even at this point, even now, what did they really think of their Exodus life? Each time when they thought of the Exodus, they thought of God's intervention in their life. So first is, I'll put the list of the things for which they were always grateful to Yahweh. So first is their deliverance, okay, from slavery. That was always their primary act of gratitude to God. And then when they came out, the first thing what they do is also, what is that? Crossing of the Red Sea. And then you have Sinai covenant. Then there is also I'm putting in some order, that's all, commandments. And then, and then you have water from the rock. And then I think you also have manna in the desert, and also quails. Okay, manna and quail should go together, I think. Okay. And then defeat of their enemies. Okay, even in the desert journey, they have defeat of their enemies. And you have the entry into promised land. Okay, and then of course later occupation of the land, like that. Okay, there are maybe few more which I must have left it. So like that, these are the things which they were always grateful to God. They always remembered. That means not the group of the Israelites who were there at that time, that is always, they always narrated the interventions of God to their generation. So much so, the later generations who were who were in the land of Canaan, or much later after that, who were all scattered, all of them recalled these incidents in their lives. And that's why so many psalms are written, psalms of thanks, psalms of praises, all that will have these points to be grateful to God, what God did. Though they themselves personally did not experience these events in their life, but the way their elders communicated these incidents to their generation remained so deeply touched in their hearts. That means as if they felt each of the Israelites would feel that each of them were rescued from Egypt. Each of them received manna. That was the way they expressed their gratitude to God. That
tradition very strong, I guess.
Constantly. Okay, it was very consistent among all the Israelites. Now, when they came out, normally, I'm just asking you. Sometimes I have to ask question. We are told how long did they take to, how long did they spend in the desert?
40 years.
Yeah, can you be a little louder?
40 years.
Yeah. So we are told that they spent 40 years. Now, if you look at the diagram that I will draw, then I will put the diagram afterwards. So we'll put it small one here so that like that. So now they were in Egypt. Okay. So when they came out of Egypt, is first thing is, we have the crossing of the Red Sea. Okay. Then afterwards, around 3 months it takes for them to come to Mount Sinai. And here it is, they receive the, what is that? The promise, that is covenant. Okay, you are my people and I will be your God. I'll come to those things, but I'll take one by one. Now, our point is, this is land of Canaan here. From Egypt, when they came out, it is maybe maximum they would need some 6 days to enter the promised land. But why did they take 40 years?
To wipe out one generation.
Pardon?
God punished them and one generation had to be wiped out. So one generation had to be wiped out because God was upset with the grumbling. So that's why 40 years.
Okay. So first reason, okay, as someone said here, I will give you a few reasons. Okay. So first reason is curse of God. Okay. So because of their murmuring. So they were constantly murmuring against Moses, against Aaron, and all good things God does. That time they become so much, what is that? They think of their past life. Okay, that means their life in Egypt as a very sweet and very golden age, because you say myth of the golden age. I hope you know this phrase, myth of the golden age. That means when things happen, everything is bad. Then after, when things pass, then, when we recall, oh, so beautiful days, those days when it was, even our own childhood, no? When we are in that childhood age, when will we grow up? So why we are under the custody of parents, teachers, oh, I want to complete and I soon want. Now, when we grow up and when we have all these responsibilities, oh my God, how beautiful our childhood was. Okay, all good things only we remember. So it's called myth of the golden age. So that was happening to the people of Israel. The past looked so beautiful. And then what did they say? Oh, when we were in Egypt, we were eating pomegranate, or we were eating onions, and I don't know, all good things come to their mind at that time. Yeah. So because of that, there is a curse of God, that God himself will tell that you will wander for 40 years. And then second one is, for that I need little diagram here also. When they came out, Moses is asking, God tells Moses and then Moses acts upon. So Moses is asking for a spy from each of the tribe. Okay, one person from each tribe should go into the land of Canaan as a spy. if you want to occupy the land, you need to spy the land, which is their weak areas, and through which way we can enter the land and where we can begin to conquer. All that has to be studied. When I don't know, when our parliament was attacked, the spies, they came through the sea. So nobody expects. So like that, we will never know how the spy enters. So Moses is sending one person from each tribe, and prominent among them is Joshua and Caleb. They both. And they go and they spy the land. But when they come back, they report. They come with the report of the spies makes the people to decide not to venture into this land. Okay. So what is their report? So they come and tell, so I'll put it here a second. Report of the spies. They come and tell, the land is so beautiful, so fertile, and there is grapes, and there is, I do not know what and all they wanted to eat, pomegranate or onion, everything is there, okay, in this land. So fertile land, so beautiful, everything is fine. But the people are very strong. And each of their cities are fortified cities, with high walls. And naturally, we will not be able to fight against such people because we have no weapons in our hand. And therefore, we will not be able to take upon these people. Okay, that means the Canaanites, they're too strong for us. We cannot take that land because we are helpless. But Joshua and Caleb says, see, it is God who has promised that he will give the land. So it is his duty that once he has promised, he will do it. So we should go ahead. But people are hesitant. They are not ready to risk their lives because they are sure that they will be killed by the Canaanites because they are very strong. And therefore, they decide to move on, never to go to enter the land through that way, the route that they spied. So they continue their journey. Okay. So they continue their journey. Okay. Then they come and one more. So here at this place, there are Edomites. Who are the Edomites? Anyone?
Descendants of Esau.
Yeah, Esau. Very good. So you have Edomites and descendants of Esau, and they are brothers. That means Israel and Esau are brothers. So their generations also are supposed to be brothers. But this enmity, that Jacob has robbed their birthright, all these things, that means they have been cheated upon. So all this, some kind of enmity exists among them, among the Edomites. So when they came across the land of the Edomites, the Israelites are asking permission to pass through their land, okay, through their land. They want to pass through this land into the land of Canaan. And the Edomites refuse, okay. So I put it there, refusal of, sorry. So refusal of the Edomites. So they will say, no, you cannot pass through our land. We will not permit you. And you know how these Israelites will plead with them. They say, you just allow us to pass through. We will not harm any of your crops. In case any of your crops is damaged by our cattle or anything, we'll pay you double. Okay, so many explanations they give, but the Edomites do not allow them to pass through their land. And finally, they will have to go through this way like this, and then they enter here. I'll come back to this once again. And the other reason is, I'll show the map, maybe then I can explain better there because the map is too big. Yeah. So see, they are there. They were in Egypt. This red line you can see they are passing. Okay.
You
So
are
you
not
have
sharing
Mount
screen.
Sinai is this area.
We cannot see, sister.
Sharing the screen.
You can't see?
No, no.
No.
What are you seeing?
You can just see the videos.
We are seeing you, sister.
Seeing me only. Not even my screen.
No, not yet.
1 second, I'll put it there.
Yeah, it's come up.
Can you see the map now?
Yes, sister.
So you see they were in Egypt. Okay, so the cities that they built and they are coming out. Okay, then you have Sinai and then you have the crossing and all this. See, here is Edom. Yeah. So now I gave you 3 reasons. See, they could enter the promised land from when they came out, it is easy for them to go through this way and enter the land here with the 6 or 7 days time. But it took long time. Are you able to hear? Because they're singing prayer is
No,
going
no.
on.
No, it's fine, sister.
Can you hear?
Yes, yes, sister. We can hear you.
So first reason I said the report of the spies. Okay, they say that we are not able to take on these people because they are very strong, very mighty. Their buildings are like that, and okay, their cities are fortified, so we are not able. So when they travel. Then I said, of course, a curse of God Himself because of their constant murmuring. And now when they come here, it is Edom. And the Edomites, they wanted to enter through their land, but they are not permitted. Okay, they say that we will not allow you to pass through our land. Now, besides these 3 reasons, it was also necessary for the people of Israel to take the long road because, you see, most of the places are desert areas. So how much time they have to travel through the desert. So they also took long route, finding wherever there is a bit of water sources. Okay, so you'll find wherever they could not, Kadesh, Barnea, that there is a water. Okay, they get water from God, will work miracles for them. But otherwise, they also had to avoid crowded people because they are so scared of facing people. This point will come only when we are doing the critical study of the Bible, but I'm just explaining to you as part. But otherwise, these are the 3 major reasons: curse of God, then report of the spies, and then the refusal of the Edomites. Okay, so now when they came, okay, they have to cross all these places, long route, and when they come, I will explain now. So when they come now, they will have to enter through they have to cross River Jordan now. Okay, so now we'll put it this way. Here, when they reached here at this point, it is here that Moses will die. Okay, Mount Nebo. Okay, so Moses will die here because he is not permitted to enter the promised land. What is your answer for that? Why is he punished?
Disobedience. Disobedience. He hit the rock twice.
Okay. Any other reason? Is that one reason accepted?
Another reason, sister, is like he and Aaron took credit for the water instead of giving it to God. He said, "We will get the water out of the rock."
Okay. So normally, okay, traditionally, we are told that because he hit the rock twice, God punished. Actually, that is not the reason, because God did not ask him also to strike once. Okay, he simply says strike the rock, and after that he goes and strikes it twice. Okay, all that. But it may not be the reason, but the proper answer would be that he mispresented God. Okay, what another person said also is right, that they said that you want us to get water, credit of giving water, that I will come to that. No, that is, in the first place, Moses mispresented God. Now, why? The story goes like this. They are in a desert land and they are thirsty. They're asking for water. When they ask for water, Moses doesn't speak anything. Normally Moses doesn't revolt against people at all. So he didn't say anything. As soon as they asked for water, he goes to God and says that people are asking for water. And God also doesn't answer anything. He says, okay, they need water, you go, okay, strike the rock and you'll get water. Now, when he comes back, the language that Moses uses, okay, come here, everybody come. You people want water? Okay, the tone of the talk and the words that Moses uses, it looks like God said these words. Okay, you stubborn people, you want water, that kind of tone Moses uses. So people get an impression when we asked for water, he didn't tell anything, but when he went to ask, God is angry with us. You get me? I don't know if somebody has the text, we can read the text.
Yes, we got you. Understood. Yes.
Yeah. So he presents God in a sense that as if God was angry with the people of Israel, that they're never satisfied people. And that the tone he speaks, it looks like as if God has spoken like that. If Moses was really angry with these people, as soon as they asked water, he would have told, you are never satisfied with anything. Whatever is given, you would have said, or you are always complaining. He didn't say anything. He goes to God, and God also doesn't get angry with him or with the people. God only suggests we won't strike water. And when he does that one, when God says that one, when he comes back, he's collecting the people and telling, come, you need water, you want us to get water for you, so that is second part. Okay, that means taking credit that they will give water that way. But in the first place, people will misread him, thinking that when he went to ask God, God is angry with us. Do you get the idea? So this sometimes you'll have to read in between the lines this one. So it is not because nowhere it is told that he struck twice and God asked him to strike once or anything, but different interpretations are possible. But mainly, it afterwards complete scenario is as if Moses and Aaron are giving the water to the people of Israel, not crediting to God, but crediting to self. That means they are the ones who are going to give water. Okay, that comes as part of the how they presented God before people of Israel. Okay, so then Moses dies here, and then he will not be allowed to enter the promised land. And one who leads from this part to the land of Israel. When Moses reaches this place and God asks him, okay, you stand here on the mount and then look at the promised land. And Moses will stand on this mount and then he looks at the promised land. Literally, those of you who have gone to the Holy Land, you will understand this. They take you to this spot, no? And when you look this, actually it is full, what is that, desert place like. And when you look from here to this place, naturally it looks very green. Okay, from that spot, you too will be allowed to look at the promised land like that. They will show you. Okay, very far it looks, but it looks green there. So then from here, not Moses, Joshua becomes the leader from here. Now, when Joshua becomes the leader, because he was already the partner here, when he came here and when he enters under his leadership, they will proceed. But when they come here, there is a river Jordan. So river doesn't mean it is no depth. So this is also very deep river. and they have to cross. And so in the life of the Israelites, twice the water will divide. So one is at the Red Sea, the other one is at the river Jordan. So the people, those who are carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the priest, they will go front, and when they step on the water, water gets divided. So when the water gets divided like this, water stands this side and that side, and the people of Israel enter the promised land. But normally when we hear of God gave the promised land, God gave the promised land, we have an idea that it is like a registered land given to the people of Israel. It is promised and so it is given. Literally, they will have to fight with every little nation of people who are there. Okay? So every little nation, because since it is a fertile land flowing with milk and honey and all these explanations, so practically in every, what is that, like pocket cities, each of the pocket cities was occupied by little by the Amorites, little by the Hivites, Hittites, Jebusites, like that. So they will have to fight against each category of people and then conquer the land. Only promise is God will give it, but they have to fight for it. Okay, so it is not simply given. Along with the promise, hard work also is necessary. So the first city they conquered when they entered the promised land is Jericho. Okay, that's why I think, I don't know, every one song is there, lift high the banners of love, hallelujah, sound the trumpets of war.
Yes.
Christ has given us the victory, hallelujah. Jericho must fall, like that. There is a song. And, details I will not get into. Okay, so the first city they occupy is Jericho with the help of Rahab, the prostitute. The spy go to the land and spy the land with her help, and then she supports their cause. And then they, the 7 days, 7 times they going around the cities, and then at last, the last day, the wall collapses, and that is how they conquer the city of Jericho. So likewise, you will go. That means I'm just speaking about Joshua. Achievements of Joshua. I'll put it like achievements of Joshua under his leadership. What he really did. Again, I'll come back to Moses for one particular point, but I'll just complete Joshua, that is conquest of the promised land. Secondly, once he conquered the land, then there is second achievement of Joshua is distribution of the land, okay, among the tribes, 12 tribes. And thirdly, renewal of the covenant. Okay, so these are the 3 things you will find in the book of Joshua, because book of Joshua, except first few chapters, the rest all, it's only names and which land is given to whom, the division of land. So many chapters it goes. Final chapter, you will find that there is a renewal of the covenant. When that means when people are settled, naturally they will forget God. Therefore, it was necessary to remind them of the covenant. So these are the 3 major achievements of Joshua. But actually, if you read Joshua, Joshua doesn't really give the real picture of the people of Israel, because it is mostly glorification of Joshua, means the writer, okay, glorifying all the works that is done by Joshua, like that. But real picture you will know only from the book of Judges. Okay, so I'll come to that. Now, one thing what I said is very important is about the Sinai covenant. When they came to Mount Sinai, there was a Sinai covenant. Now, the choosing of these people, because anybody can question, why did God choose the people of Israel? He would have chosen the Amorites, or he would have chosen the Hittites, Hivites, all these kind of. But God chose the least. Least means, their one thing is they're nomads, and they are more dependent people. Farmers are settlers. Farmers, they have the land and they're settled people. but shepherds are not settlers most of the time. Okay, so they are wandering people. So their most of their life is dependent on God. God chooses these people, the nomads, to show them how much they need to depend on God. And once they depend on God, how God would take care of the people. So it's a lesson for all of us also, because the more we think we can rely on our own strength, we may fail. But even in the midst of uncertainties, when we depend on God, and God is there to take care of us. So God chooses these people, and their Sinai event, because it is like my personal reflection, I would say. See, everybody, whether it is Canaanites or Hittites, Hivites, Jebusites, Philistines, everybody are created by God. All are creatures of God. So how could God, like become an enemy of those people to great extent and side with the people of Israel? So that means God is also being very partial that way. The answer would be that, okay, from the reflection. If God was not choosing one particular nation, everybody will take God for granted. Because God is there to provide. He will take care of us. He will take care of. We have no responsibility there. Okay, we have absolutely no responsibility because God will do everything for us. And therefore, now God shifts this being God of everybody, God who takes care of everybody, to one particular nation. He is going to tell how much he loves people. And the responsibility will come now. Now, don't think the people of Israel are chosen people, so they are very privileged. Whenever we are chosen, it is a gift. Okay? We are chosen, it is a gift, or it is a privilege. But every privilege comes with a responsibility. So, or whatever life that we are chosen, maybe we are elevated to a different posts, then we consider it is a privilege. But we cannot hold the post and sit, but we are expected to work. So we are expected to have that responsibility. And so people of Israel, now God was ready to become an enemy for Amorite, Hittites, Jebusites, all of them. And all his love is going to bestow on the people of Israel. All his mighty works he will do for this nation. Now, what is the responsibility of these chosen people? It is their duty to go and tell the Hivites, Hittites, Jebusites, all of them, how great is God and what God does for them once we rely on this particular God. So it is a mission. So that is the reason, see, the world doesn't complete the mission. It is an ongoing mission. And that is the reason God chooses this choosing of the 12 tribes as his people. And their duty is that they have to take the wonders of God. You saw, I already listed all the wonders God did for them in their life. And that is what they have to go and tell their other people and bring them to this God, introduce this God to them. And that is the mission. Take the same wavelength, you take it to the New Testament. Jesus, he was very powerful. He could Christianize the whole world and go. But he never left Palestine. He was all the time within Palestine, and he chose also only the 12. And the 12 are given again mission. And it is their mission because normally we think gospels will end with the resurrection. No gospels end with the resurrection. All the gospels ends with the mission. So Matthew says, go and proclaim. Matthew says, go and make disciples. Luke says, go and be my witnesses. And John speaks about forgiveness of sins to be proclaimed to everywhere. So every gospel has a commission at the end. That means it is not complete. So that means we all have mission to continue. So that is what we have to tell. That's why the selection of people is a gift, but as well as it is a task. It's a privilege, but it is a responsibility. So this is very important. And so when God chose this particular nation and makes a covenant, you see what he is going, that means he is ready to sacrifice the love of the other people. And He is expecting complete love from the people of Israel. You will be my people. Okay, from among the rest of the nations, I'm choosing you. You will be my people, and I will be your God. So that means he is not going to be the God of the Amorites, Hittites, Jebusites. Nobody. Because although every human being is created has a sense of God, because we know that we are not superior, above us some power is there. So for all of them, we have to introduce who is the real God. And that God exposes himself to one particular nation, and they have this mission. And they have to remain faithful to that. That means they cannot go after any other gods, okay, any of the created things. They cannot go after any created things. So they have to remain faithful to him. So this is very important. So when this Sinai covenant was sealed, God and people of Israel will become a marriage covenanted people. You know, marriage is a covenant where you make a promise that I will be with you in your difficulties, in your good moments, bad moments, all the time I will be with you. It is that covenant is made between Yahweh and the people of Israel. So it is like bride and the bridegroom. That is the expectation. So you cannot abandon or divorce one partner for the other. And that was the thing that was expected of the people of Israel. But what happens? They will fail in keeping up this promise. And that is why the problems will emerge later. So I think it is getting time or what?
Maybe another few more minutes we can go. Today, I think the Zoom, they sorted out the issues.
Okay. So this is very essential. So that's why I said in the whole of the Old Testament, book of Exodus is important. In the Exodus, Sinai covenant is important. So this will explain to us why they were getting into trouble. Okay, in spite of all the promises God makes, why they got into trouble. And when they were in trouble, what did they do? And how did they react? And how God came to their rescue? All that all that depends on only on the Sinai covenant. Whether you're reading the book of Kings or book of Samuel, everything stays on the Sinai covenant. So if you are going to read any of the prophetic books, that again reverts back to the Sinai covenant. That means being faithful to Yahweh or you are not faithful to Yahweh. So that is the thread. All throughout the Old Testament, Sinai covenant is the thread. So if you understand this, whenever they failed to keep this promise, that is where they always encountered problems, okay, for their own personal life. The image of God in this scenario, you will have to understand, is God is the prominent image of God in this story of the people of Israel. Is God is a just God. Okay. First thing is that is what comes to mind. They don't have that good image of God as a loving God, but their image is God is just. So what is the meaning? If you are doing good, God will reward you. If you are doing bad, God will punish you. So that means what? Like God who is watching over you all the time. Okay, so that is the image they have of Yahweh. God is a just God. Okay, if you are doing good, he will reward you. If you are doing bad, he will punish you. So that is the first image. Second image of God they have, not about a God of love, but God of mercy. So when I am punished, then I cry to God, okay, as a sign of repentance, and immediately God changes his anger. That means immediately God melts, and then he comes to the rescue of his people. So that means more than loving God, they have an image of merciful God. So the Old Testament's image of God are these two main identity that they gave to God. God is a just God and God is a merciful God. So this also depends on the promise, that means their Sinai covenant that they have made. So if we understand, that's why I said Sinai covenant is the most important element in their personal history. That means history of the Israelites. Maybe tomorrow I will speak a little more on this. Means I will explain how the side effects of the Sinai covenants. Okay, when they were, with the example of the book of Judges, beautifully it explains. Then I think tomorrow is the last class, so I will rush through and reach the divided kingdom, and then I'll reach I'll tell how we are in the New Testament. New Testament I may not be able to take. I will not be able to take. I'll see that. So any questions on this, whatever is taught now?
Sister, when you talk of Sinai covenant, are you referring to the commandments?
No, commandments will come also before also. No, actually, if you look at the commandments, it is only supportive to keeping up this Sinai covenant.
Is it Exodus 19:5, sister?
Yeah, I don't have the reference right now. You can just read that one.
Yeah, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations, you will be my treasured possession. Is that the one, sister?
One more also is there.
Deuteronomy 14:2.
It is what is that? Exodus and Deuteronomy are repetitions. Most of the texts are repeated. Where is my text? Oh, sorry. Are you seeing my screen?
No, sister.
1 second. Oh. Maybe I'll post it, or I'll give it to tomorrow with all the references.
Yeah, sister.
Both I'll give. That means about this their refusal to enter the promised land directly, because now it's not open. If it's opens, I'll take.
Sister, that election and elimination, you said that is plan of God. That's the only answer for election and elimination.
Yeah, because that it is otherwise, if it is a custom of one place or one society, and when it is not happening, anybody would question, then what answer do we have? I don't know. If you have better one, you can share with me. Do you?
Sister, Judah was also second born?
Fourth one.
He is fourth born, because first one is Reuben, no? Then Simeon, you have Levi, and then Judah. Last born is actually Benjamin. Either it should be first born or the last born you would have taken. But when we plan that if it is first one is eliminated, then the last one will be elected, there also we are wrong. So from nowhere Judah appears. God chooses Judah. And that's why later you have that, Jesus coming from the tribe of Judah. He comes from the tribe of Judah. All the prophecies refer to the fact of this. What is that? Judah being the most important person. Yeah.
The Sinai covenant, I think though all of us have heard, I think in principle we know it, but then, you highlighted it very beautifully as a thread which runs across the Old Testament. That's very nice.
Jude, is it Exodus 19:5? I just want to refer.
That will be one of the most important texts. I will get back to you later.
Sister, another point.
Yeah.
God was upset with Moses for not having followed his instructions. Three things. Yeah. God was upset with Moses for not having followed the instructions. So as you said, Moses said, Moses told them, listen, you rebels. He spoke rudely to them, okay? Yeah. Then he also took a credit. He said, do you want us, meaning he and Aaron, he sort of took credit.
Yes.
But the third point is, God didn't say to strike the rock. God said, command the rock, speak to the rock.
Yeah, that so translation differs, that's why the word.
Once and hit it twice. God didn't tell him to hit the rock at all.
That's I said no, because it is not once or twice, nothing is mentioned there. But some translation put it as strike. Some will translate it as command the rock.
No, sister, twice Moses does it. First he talks, first time. Second time he strikes. Twice he has to take out water from the rock.
Mm-hmm.
Once it was speaking to the rock, and second time God said to strike it. But he strikes it twice in his anger. He hits it twice. That's what I've understood.
Because that is a popular understanding that because of he struck twice, that's why I said we don't deny any of the interpretations. But striking once or twice, or even speaking, or even just commanding, but the way it is present, people's understanding, when they ask him immediately, he is not getting angry. Okay, neither the text says when he goes and tells God that they require water, God also doesn't say immediately. God says, okay, you do this. That's all. But the way he comes and, that tone of the language, it must be like, people understand since he went to ask God, and that this is how God has responded, that idea.
Sister,
Sister?
but the punishment seems disproportionate, no, sister?
It is always like that. That's why, no, I don't know, because most of the things when we think of, what is that, in the Bible, if you start reading, you will have lot of questions only will arise, isn't it? That when you see poor fellow, so much he worked hard to bring the people of Israel, and then this way he is treated like that. This is also a warning that a kind of perfection is expected from a leader. When anyone becomes a leader of anything, the quality of your leadership should excel everything. That's yes.
Yeah, sister, in the same thing in Numbers 20, verse 12, it says, but the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you were not faithful to me in showing forth my sanctity. So it's mentioned as sanctity before the Israelites, you will not lead this community. So is this the sanctity you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because,
okay.
Yeah. Because sanctity, it's holiness. No, that means holiness means there is no malice. He is a different God. He doesn't react like human beings.
Yes, sister.
And that is not presented before God.
One of the challenges.
The whole chapter of Exodus 19 is for about that consecration of the people of Israel. Okay, not just particular one word, like the whole chapter of Exodus 19. Because our sisters are praying so loud, so you may be disturbed because I am also finding difficult to hear you.
Yeah, so one of the challenges, sister, is about the Old Testament, especially the Exodus, is to the questions that come from either non-Christians or Christians who don't have a very deep knowledge of the Bible. Is God acting so cruelly with the other tribes, the non-Israelites? And as you said, the disproportionate, and he orders the other tribes to be completely wiped out. So sometimes it's difficult to explain it to others, and he will say,
That's why I said no, because the very fact I say, or anyone says that they have done studies in the Bible, or they're holding a PhD or doctor, whatever, we are still learners, and interpretations are always open. This is, I always believe, Word of God is living, active, and alive. If that is the truth, no interpretation is an end in itself. Okay? Because we should be open to anything. If it might come from somewhere, but if it makes sense, we should accommodate. That's it. Because I don't claim that I know everything or anything. I love any. That's why I always tell, if anybody is giving some Bible class, I would like to attend. Because I know all my learnings are incomplete, and I can't give guarantee of this is the way it is. We all put things, because all the scholars who wrote the books, they themselves have different opinions. They themselves do not agree upon. So that way we have to be open. We can't tell this is the thing, because of this only it is like that. That is rigidity. If we hold on to one particular interpretation and say like this or that. But we don't deny also all the hard work that is put by all the scholars. We respect all of it, but we also weigh when we choose what to speak to whom. Because suppose some of the interpretations I will not be going and telling to means I will not be presenting to a simple group like this, because we will have to see where the critical evaluation of the text comes. Sometimes completely deprive faith and then speak of the text. So if you must have come across, if somebody has already taught you all this, even about the 10 plagues, they come about with scientific things and say it is not all the miracles, it is natural calamities and things like that. So if you go on strip the text like that, then you won't have any faith there. So then it is not a holy book, it becomes a secular book.
Any more questions from anybody? Sister, it's been a very beautiful class, and I think all of us agree.
I don't know, because I'm not sure really what I am, where I'm speaking, where I'm because I'm just speaking at random, just to give you an overview, that's all. So
the perspectives that you bring are different and very, very valuable. So thank you very much, sister.
Okay.
It's wonderful, and I think the learning has been very good. We'll take a lot away from this session. So can I request you to make a prayer, sister?
Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, when we look at the life of the people of Israel, we see that you have intervened in their lives, for which they need only to be grateful to you. If they keep counting the blessings in their lives, they have only tongue for thanking and praising you. And this should become a lesson for us, dear Lord. We always tend to look at the sufferings or the negativities in our lives. Teach us, Lord, to look back and start counting the blessings that you have so generously given to us. Give us this spirit to look and see how good and faithful our Lord is. We make this prayer in your own sweet name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So
thank you so much, sister. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening, all of you. Bye-bye.